Hey, what is up guys? I'm Alex from technoclass.com, and this is the Asus MeMo Pad 7, a new version of the Asus MeMo Pad. The previous version was called the MeMo Pad HD7. It was powered by a quad-core MediaTek processor, but this one is much more upgraded with its new quad-core Intel Atom processor, 6,995 pesos, and it's got a new design, a new UI, and everything. Much more improved, and it is even more affordable at 6,995 pesos. We're going to take a look at it right now. This is the Asus MeMo Pad 7 64-bit review. ME176CX is if you want to be exact. Alright guys, so ME176CX is the actual model number of this guy. If you look at the back, actually, it should be right there, ME176CX. It's got some features right there, but we're going to open the box anyways. Comes in this nice white colored box. Opens like this, and this is the tablet itself. Supposed to pull this little tab right there to get the tablet out of there. Let's turn it on for now. There we go. That should be booting up. Let's get it out of the plastic. And that looks pretty cool. There's a nice little plastic right here telling you a little bit about the features. Put that over there, over here. Alright, inside the box here we have your typical Asus charger. Look at that guy. It's nice and packaged right there. How many milliamps? Look at this guy. 1.35? Looks like 1.35 amps. Nice mid-sized charger for you guys. Nice travel guy right there. We have a warranty card, some warranty paperwork right here, some user guide, and a micro USB cable for charging and data transfer. So there you go, that's the box. Alright, so that has been the parts of the box. We're going to move on to the tablet itself. This is the MeMo Pad 7, ME176CX to be exact. And as you can see, we're turning on the display right now. This is a 7-inch 1280 by 800 IPS display. Viewing angles look pretty good. Look pretty good, and as you can see, the tilting works fine. I can even tilt it backwards like that. This is a 7-inch HD display, and as you can see, that's the interface. We're gonna talk about the parts first, though. So in front here, we have a VGA camera. I'm gonna get that to zoom in on that. There you go. We have a VGA camera right there. On the bottom there is an Asus, shiny Asus logo. By the way, there is no capacitive buttons over here because you know, one advantage of tablets like these is that they can move the capacitive buttons wherever they wanted to. So now it's on the bottom, now it's upside down, so they don't have to have the capacitive buttons over on a physical side. That's because you want to move your tablet overall, around and around. So alright, so that's it for the front. It's a black bezel guy. We have a blue version, light blue, baby blue version right here. The front is not baby blue, it is black, and as you can see, there is a bit of, you can definitely see where the screen starts and ends. On the back, oh, let's talk about the side first. The side, we have a volume rocker and a power and unlock key. Now, if you're used to some of Asus's other tablets, you might be confused because usually the power button on other Asus tablets is above the volume keys. Now this time the power button is below the volume keys, and you might be confused for the start, at the start, because you are going to be pressing buttons differently. But once you get used to it, it is easy enough. The buttons work pretty good. On the bottom we have a nice looking, that's part of the bag. It's a speaker grill right there, Sonic Master. There's nothing on the bottom. On the right side there's nothing except for a micro SD expansion slot. So that's a nice addition to this guy. Of course, the HD7 also had that. On top we have most of the ports here. I do think this is a microphone for you know, Wi-Fi calling, IP calling, micro USB port for charging and data transfer, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the back, and as you can see, that's nice sort of baby blue color. We have an Asus logo near the top, the speaker grill on the back, and the grill is also baby blue colored. Let's get that to focus maybe. I don't even know if it can because of this bright blue color. Yeah, there you go. So, alright, so that's the back. There's a sort of a indentation or a protrusion on the back right here. where the camera sits. This is a 2 megapixel camera. There are other versions out there in the market with higher megapixel versions, but the ME176CX has a 2 megapixel camera on the back, VGA camera in front. So talking about the material that they use here, this is sort of matte plastic. I'm hoping you can actually see that on the video. It actually feels pretty good, and this sort of surface and this color makes it feel pretty good. The color is actually kind of cool, sort of nice gift. Of course, they have multiple colors, including the classic black and stuff like that. This is matte, and it doesn't pick up fingerprints that much. Now the front, it's a different story. It does pick up fingerprints a little bit. Talking about the display, the overall of the tablet, it's pretty acceptable. I think this feels a little bit better than the MeMo Pad HD7, but only just a little bit. It feels like a solid tablet. Feels decent in the hand. It's not too light. It's not too heavy, and the plastics they used and the materials they used just feels pretty sturdy, and doesn't feel like it'll break anytime soon. So props to the design. It's pretty usable. There's nice, and the bezels are not too big, but they're not too small that you won't have any place to put your thumbs in when you're using it. So that's it for the design. It is a pretty good design tablet, and actually it is very affordable, so you shouldn't be complaining too much about it. But it's a nice tablet either way. We're going to talk about the interface right now. We'll see you guys after this little cutscene thing. Alright guys, we're back, and this is the Asus MeMo Pad 7 ME176CX. This is the 64-bit Intel Atom version, as you can see right here. This is our lock screen, and as you can see, there are a bunch of new things on this lock screen. This is their new Zen UI for a lot of their new devices, including the Zen phones. And as you can see, you can unlock by just swiping around there. There's sort of a spotlight thing here, and there's also a part on the lock screen where it says what's next on your schedule. And then, of course, if you want to open the camera, you just pull on the camera and the camera launches. So it's sort of a standard Zen UI for most of their devices, and it actually works pretty good. Actually, the UI overall is a very nice UI. As you can see here, it's very, very smooth. The iconography is kind of cool. It does remind me a little bit of Lollipop or Kit Kat or whatever. If you pull down the menu, you do get some sort of different pull down menu, but it does look a little bit like Lollipop to me. I mean, the colors, the circular, the material design and stuff. Most of the icons are enclosed in some sort of square with rounded edges and a bit of the color. As you can see, here are the Asus apps right there. If you go to the app drawer, it is a very fast looking app drawer. As you can see, it goes to, you have all download and frequently used. Everything works pretty good. What I do notice with the interface though is they prefer smaller icons and larger margins in between those icons. That's not a big thing. It does make the icons a little smaller, and so if you like to see bigger icons, that's a bit of a thing. Anyway, the interface itself is very, very smooth. There's a lot of customizations here and there, and they're actually very, very useful. Speaking of Asus applications, there are a bunch here, and most of them are not bloatware. So as you can see right here, there's Do It Later, which is a nice sort of calendar scheduling application or something like that. Sometimes you can even, if somebody sends you an email, you can put it in Do It Later. It's sort of more like a time management application right there. So that's nice. Splendid changes your color temperature or whatever. It gives you control over the hardware of your display, so you can actually change the parameters of what colors you like. And there's Audio Wizard, which changes your speakers and the equalization of your speakers and all that. There's Weather, Web Storage. There's a lot of Asus cloud applications pre-installed here, which is actually kind of nice. Alright, so one nice feature that I like about the Zen UI is this called Dual Apps. And it's a nice feature because it does allow some multitasking. So as you can see, there's a bunch of open recent applications right here, and some of them has this icon. So what you do is just hold on to that icon and drag it somewhere on the screen, and now you have essentially a multitasking sort of application. Now I can open the calendar on this side right here, and you can definitely see how this can be helpful, because you can read a website over there. You can be browsing your calendar or something like that. You can even change what is in there. I have a gallery right here. I can move it over here. And it does not support all apps, but at least you can have a lot of apps. You can definitely do some multitasking with most of these apps. Alright, so as far as performance is concerned, this guy is very, very fast. The Intel Atom processor has been proven to be very, very efficient and powerful. So this one has a quad-core Intel Atom, 1.86 gigahertz, and it is 64-bit. So those are so many things that makes this processor so awesome. And as you can see on the Antutu score, we have 33,498 points. That could be improved eventually, you know, with Lollipop with another 64-bit OS, because this is a 64-bit processor. Anyway, right now it does have 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of ROM with only 4 gigabytes usable. 4 gigs of the system is being used, by the way. So that's kind of a bummer, but at least you can expand the memory with another micro SD card. This has a 3950 milliamp hour battery, which we will talk about later. And of course, Wi-Fi only, GPS with GLONASS, and Miracast. So you can definitely share the content on the screen to a Miracast capable receiver. So as far as the interface is concerned, as you can see, the Antutu score is very, very high. The interface is very, very smooth. As you can see right here, nothing trips it up. Now I do have to mention that after a while, maybe after 1 day of use, you might want to reboot it to refresh the memories. I do notice that it's sometimes the Intel Atom processor does need a reboot because, you know, maybe it's a memory leak or something like that. But the actual use of it and the multitasking of it is very, very fast. And just the occasional reboots that you need to do to refresh the memory is a minor thing. It's a very, very fast tablet. I do also have to mention that this is running on the latest version of Android. Of course, it's not Lollipop yet, but this is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat, which is very, very new, and this came with KitKat out of the box. But there has been several updates since I've been using it. I think I've had maybe 6 updates since I started using it, and it gets better and better. So Asus does a pretty good job providing updates for this guy as well, so you shouldn't be scared of buying an Asus product. Even though it's only 6,195, you might have a chance that it'll be getting, you know, further updates of Android, so that's very awesome. Alright guys, so as far as the camera is concerned, that's probably one of the lowest points of this guy. This only has a 2 megapixel camera on the back with no flash and a VGA camera in front. Both of them are serviceable, but of course 2 megapixels and VGA is not exactly the highest resolution out there. There's not a lot of detail. You know, you won't be able to zoom in on those pictures. As you can see right there, they're kind of grainy as well. They don't have autofocus, so you know, even the back shots do not have focus on the subject if you wanted to. But they're pretty good. The colors are pretty good. It's just that they're just 2 megapixels and VGA. They're serviceable, but not the best. The interface, though, is pretty good. So if you like, you know, the interface of cameras, this is a pretty good interface camera. Alright guys, we're back, and this is a game called Modern Combat 5. It's a very demanding first-person shooter on Android, and right now we're running it on the MeMo Pad 7 64-bit Intel Atom. As you can see, it handles this guy pretty good. There's a bit of frame skip during busy parts, not a lot, and as you can see, I'm just shooting these guys. They're not very good shooters, by the way. They're like stormtroopers. As you can see, the frame rate is very, very solid, very, very playable, and quite up there with the playability. So graphics is handling it pretty, I mean, the graphics are running fine, pretty high resolution display, and the speakers are holding up pretty good. So there you go, that's a little bit of the gaming. We're gonna move on to another game before we finish up this review. Alright guys, this is NBA 2K14 playing on the MeMo Pad 7. And as you can see, the game is running pretty good. This is the start of the game, of course. As you can see, the jump ball is going to happen, and we're going to see how the frame rate handles. Oh, I failed that. So here's a bit of the game. As you can see, there's a little bit of frame skip there. But the game itself is actually very playable. Now the frame skips there is not because of the Antutu score. It's more of the graphics processing unit, which is a Power VR SGX 544, if I believe. But it's not a big deal. The game runs pretty smooth. The interface is pretty good. So come on, just shoot the ball. Jesus, the guy's taking too long. There you go. That's how the frame rate feels. It's pretty good. There's a little frame skip right there. And there we go. That's the speaker as well. It's pretty good speakers, and it's not easy to muffle. As you can see, there's not a very easy way to muffle this speaker, so that's very good. So that's it for the gaming capabilities of the MeMo Pad 7. Alright guys, so I think that's about wraps it up for the Asus MeMo Pad 7 review, ME176CX. I think it's one of the best tablets you can get for this price range, $6,995. It's one of the better looking tablets in this price range as well, so that's pretty awesome. Let's talk about the pros and cons right now. So number one, it's an excellent all-around package for the price, $6,995. You get a very fast Intel Atom processor, and I think one of the things that you cannot get in this price range is a very solid, awesome UI made by Asus. Now, most of the local brands and other competition has, you know, a decent tablet, maybe decent specs, but do not have the proper Zen UI. So there you go, that's a pro. The very high benchmark scores, and it does reflect on the user interface. It has a very attractive design with multiple colors, so that's another plus. It's running Android 4.4 KitKat with very possibility of a lot of updates as well. And it has, you know, some useful features like the multiple Zen UI, dual apps, and stuff like that. And the possibility of a future-proof processor. So those are some pretty awesome features. Alright, so talking about the cons, there's very few. Number one is the micro SD install situation. You can actually move a lot of the applications. As you can see right here on top is the app settings, and as you can see there is a couple of apps right here, NBA 2K14 and Modern Combat 5. And as you can see there's a slot here that says it's movable, but NBA 2K14 is not movable, so that's going to take up your storage. You only have 4 gigs out of the 8 gigs available, because the system is taking up another 4 gigs off that 8 gigs. So there you go. It also doesn't have the best cameras. You know, you have a 2 megapixel on the back, VGA in front. VGA is pretty serviceable if you're gonna use it for video calling, you know, Skype and all that. But you know, the 2 megapixel camera is not gonna get you much, and that's definitely a con. Number 3 is just a minor thing. There is random performance dips, especially when you have, you know, a lot of applications running, or if you haven't rebooted the tablet for a while. It's not like a Qualcomm device where it can run for a long time without rebooting. I do suggest you reboot it every day to keep the performance high up there. But those are just very minor. Alright guys, so that's about it for the MeMo Pad 7. A very awesome tablet with a very high benchmark score, good gaming performance, and overall great design. Pretty much the only con right there, the most notable con, is the camera. But yeah, it's a very affordable tablet, really amazing specs, really amazing build, well made. There's a nice UI option, UI customizations, and all that stuff. So that is the MeMo Pad 7. It's a very nice tablet. You should get one for Christmas. You should give one to your loved ones for Christmas. It's really awesome for only 7,000 pesos, or 6,995 to be exact. So there you go. I'm Alex from TechnoClass.com. That has been the MeMo Pad 7 ME176CX. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.